Finally, the cypherpunks are back. Exactly at the moment, all the crypto tourists have been flashed out and are now chasing AI stocks. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, guys. My name is 𝗬𝗪𝗁 and I welcome you back to another episode of On-Chain Trenches. Today, we're gonna take another deep dive into the Zcash ecosystem and I will share with you the most exciting things that are cooking in the privacy world. We will kick things off with privacy as the most important moat in crypto and what Zooko, the co-founder of Zcash, has done at the SEC. Then we will take a look at the upcoming Zcash standard and I will show you how Cypher lending works. Yes, you heard it right. You can now finally use native Zcash as collateral and borrow against it. And finally, I will tell you why Zcash is winning not only at the privacy front but also in becoming a sovereign store of value and how much upside is still left in Zcash. Alright, let's directly jump in.
There will be no currency that gets around government controls.
Anybody here want to take an opposite view?
Zcash is unstoppable private money. We turn technology from undermining the foundations of civilization to strengthening those foundations.
This is very big news for Zcash and all the privacy lovers. Zooko, the co-founder of Zcash, and Josh, the CEO of Electric Coin Capital, the company that is working on the Zashi wallet, both have joined Cypherpunk as advisors. And for those of you that don't know what Cypherpunk is, it's the first and the biggest Zcash digital asset treasury led by the 𝗬𝗪𝗁 brothers, and their aim is to acquire 5% of the total Zcash supply. Next up, 𝗬𝗪𝗁𝗍, one of the biggest venture funds out there, has published their crypto outlook for 2026. And surprisingly, their #1 theme for 2026 is that privacy will be the most important moat in crypto. Yes, you heard it right. Their forecast #1 is that privacy will be the most important moat in crypto in the upcoming year. And yeah, if you would like to read their entire report, just look it up online. You will definitely be able to find it. Otherwise, here is a short TLDR of the 16 topics that they're taking a close eye at. And here a closer look at what they wrote about their thesis of privacy being the most important mode in crypto. They say that privacy is a feature that almost every other blockchain out there today lacks. For most chains, privacy has been little more than an afterthought. If you think about Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, privacy is basically non-existent in those layer 1 chains. And the only place where you can find it is arguably on their roadmap, which is still 5-10 years away. They continue and say that privacy creates that sort of chain lock-in, a privacy network effect, if you will, especially in a world in where competing on performance is no longer enough. As you guys know, bridging tokens between ecosystems has become super easy and straightforward over the years. But bridging secrets, as they write here, is still a very hard problem. There is always that risk when you are moving your funds in or out of a privacy zone, because there are people out there who can watch what you are doing. They can watch the chain, the mempool, and the network traffic, and hence figure out who you are. So especially when you move from a privacy zone to a non-privacy zone or the other way around, those kind of on-chain transactions, they leak all kinds of metadata like the transaction timing and the size of your transaction that makes it easy to track you on-chain. Hence, they argue that blockchains which have native privacy at the layer 1 level have a much stronger network effect than anybody else out there. Because once you are within this privacy zone, let's call it the Zcash shielded pool, you are not willing to move out there easily, because the moment you leave that shielded pool or the Zcash chain, you are being exposed to reveal yourself to the outer world and potential attackers. This concept, of course, is not true for public blockchains. I mean, there you can just bridge and send funds around however you want. It doesn't matter whether you hold them on Base, on Solana, on Cosmos, wherever. They're all public by default and everybody can track your financial activities. But the moment they say that you are within this privacy zone, it becomes less likely that you will move out of it and risk being exposed. And exactly this very fact creates a winner takes most dynamic. And because privacy is essential for most real-world use cases like RWAs, stablecoins, so on and so forth, but also DeFi, a handful of privacy chains could own most of crypto. Again, let that sink in. A handful of privacy coins could own most of crypto. And now it's our task as investors to figure out which privacy chains could emerge as strong winners and build this massive moat around their ecosystem. And in my opinion, Zcash is by far the leading privacy chain out there, and they have already created a real moat around privacy. And their moat is exactly displayed here in this chart. This chart shows us the total shielded Zcash in the shielded pool. So those are all the Zcash that are taken out of the supply or out of the transparent part of Zcash and put into the shielded pool where nobody out there can track it. Here you see that we had this massive surge a few weeks ago as Zcash just went parabolic all the way up to $750 a coin. And since then, the crypto markets have been very choppy and most coins are down only over the past few weeks. But the shielded pool didn't budge an inch. Just look at here. While Zcash also went down a little bit, those coins stored in here, which is roughly 30% of the circulating supply, those are holders like myself or big whales out there that don't care about the day-to-day price movements, and they just keep hodling their Zcash because they know it's a long-term hold and a real sovereign store of value. And yeah, think of it, 30% of the supply is just locked away. It is withdrawn from all the exchanges and chilling in this private pool, being shielded from the outside world. And just imagine the moment that Ledger integrates shielded transactions and allows all the Zcash holders to shield their Zcash using Ledger. I think this chart here will see another exponential hockey stick-like growth. Here we have Zooko that said the thing about Zcash is when you withdraw some to your self-custody shielded wallet, which is Zashi, you can use it on your phone and you can shield Zcash there. Move it off of the price chart and out of CT, crypto Twitter, into a black hole of privacy where you are the only person. And this is exactly what the chart that I showed before mirrors. This one here, all these people, they withdrew their Zcash from the exchanges of crypto Twitter. They don't care about the price. They're holding onto it long term because they know that Zcash will appreciate over time and they want to have peace of mind. And he says, try it. You experience a thing which has never been possible before. And I truly agree. The moment I downloaded the Zashi wallet and shielded some of my Zcash, it was such a revealing moment. And it also drove me to start this channel here because I wanted to share this experience with you out there, guys. Because for the very first time, I could store wealth on my wallet, hide it from the outside world, and be 100% sure that nobody out there can steal it from me and can track my financial activity. And then Sasha chimes in here and quote tweeted Zooko saying the ultimate mode is deep-rooted emotional attachment. And I mean, this is so true. I really have a hard time selling my Zcash because, again, it's the only asset out there that gives me 100% privacy, self-custody, and peace of mind. For some reason, shielded SEC has this effect on people, Sasha included. Once you have tasted the sense of freedom, there's no going back. And guys, please try it out. Download the Zashi wallet. I recorded a tutorial how it works. And if you want, drop your private address in the comments below and I will send you a small Christmas gift so that you can experience the magic of Zcash on your own. And then we have Chamath implicitly shilling Zcash at the All In podcast. It was last week. Over the weekend, I went for a walk in the park and listened to the All In podcast, and suddenly I heard Chamath talking about the importance of privacy and that everything we do online is somewhat shielded. You don't share your files, you don't share your text messages, you don't share your images with everybody out there, you always encrypt them. But for whatever reason, we don't do that with our money, especially with crypto, Bitcoin, Solana, USDC. Everybody out there can just track your wallet and see what you are doing. And to quote Chamath, the great thing about the US dollar is that the physical bill in your pocket is fungible. We have to find a way to replicate that digitally to preserve privacy. That's exactly what Zcash does. Zcash is a digital dollar, digital private cash. If you transact all day and there's no way to shield some privacy, that's a scary outcome. Again, I fully resonate with what Chamath said here, and it's already the second time that he stated similar things. So I mean, that's just my guess, but I really think that he is secretly accumulating Zcash and giving some hints here and there, but he hasn't achieved his target allocation. I mean, that's just my guess, not sure, but those words, privacy, shielding, I mean, they're very, very telling. Let's move on. Cool. Here we have Zooko talking to the SEC. Just a few days later, Zooko was invited to speak in front of the SEC. I mean, this is just mind-boggling. A few years ago, Zooko and other cypherpunks building privacy protocols, these guys were subpoenaed by the government and some of them even arrested and put into prison for working on privacy protocols, which is just bonkers. And the TLDR of Zooko's speech is that Zcash is all about agency. The agency that you as an individual can choose with whom out there you are willing to share your financial history. He says that privacy is good at times, but of course also transparency is good at other times. And Zcash gives you the ability to choose whether you wanna interact on the private side of the blockchain or on the transparent side of the blockchain. So for those that don't know, there is a private address and there is a public address on the Zcash blockchain. One, you can interact privately, and on the other side, you can interact publicly. But then on the private side of things, of course, nobody can track you at the moment you move into the shielded pool. Everything becomes encrypted and nobody knows your holdings, your address, etc. But even there, if you want to be compliant with the government and they call you, hey, let's reveal your transaction history, you can always do that. And that's where it ties back into the agency, because you, as the owner of Zcash, hold the private viewing key that you could share with the government for your tax reporting, whatever, so you can choose who gets access to your financial history. Just the way it works with banks, your friends, your buddies, your neighbors, they don't know how much money you hold in your bank account, but the auditors and the banks and the government, they do have access. But yeah, Zcash takes it one step further, that you can choose with whom you want to share it. So for everybody out there that is afraid, oh, privacy coins, they will all get banned. What about paying my taxes and the government? No, of course you can keep it private forever, but if you want, you could also share your holdings and your transaction history with the government.
Being free to conduct one's affairs, including financial affairs, free from government and other surveillance, is a core American value. Crypto has been a forcing function, providing a unique opportunity to consider this question in the context of 21st century technology. Unfortunately, the federal government's insatiable desire for data has expanded these tools in ways that increasingly put the liberty of American investors at risk, and saddle them with costs that too often provide little benefit because the government does not even use all of the information that is submitted. While regulators may have a voracious appetite for data, that proclivity is obviously and fundamentally incompatible with the kind of free society that has made America great.
Several themes should guide the government's work. Government should not assume ill intent when people take steps to guard their privacy. Protecting one's privacy should be the norm, not an indicator of criminal intent. Government should resist the temptation to force intermediation for the purpose of creating a regulatory beachhead or facilitating financial surveillance. Relatedly, the government should avoid imposing regulatory obligations, including Bank Secrecy Act obligations, on a software developer who does not have custody of users' assets or the ability to override users' choices.
What I want for Christmas is SEC no action relief or exemptive action that cites to the Cypherpunks, and cites to May and Hughes and 𝗬𝗪 and 𝗪𝗵𝘁 and 𝗪𝗵𝗿𝗀 and the philosophical underpinnings of crypto. That's what I'd like to say.
Listening to this really gives me goosebumps. I mean, hearing these words like zero knowledge proofs, selective disclosure, shielding to protect yourself from surveillance, protect American privacy coming from the mouth of folks that are working for the US government was inconceivable just a few months ago. We really made a 180-degree shift. And yeah, just hearing these folks talk about privacy and being open to integrate these new financial primitives into the future of finance is just, yeah, heartwarming. And especially the SEC chair, 𝗬𝗪𝗿 talking openly about privacy and the values of self-sovereignty. Just compare these words to the ex-SEC chair, Gary Gensler, that really raged a war on crypto, and now you see 𝗬𝗪𝗿 fighting for privacy and the right of self-sovereignty and private money. I mean, let's fucking go. And yeah, here's another quote from 𝗬𝗪𝗿. You can read through it on your own. But yeah, whatever he says, it's very much Zcash coded, and I'm pretty sure that he holds some Zcash too. Cool. The Zcash standard. I am pretty sure that most of you guys know the Bitcoin standard, or you have at least heard of this book, which is arguably the most sold Bitcoin, if not crypto blockchain book out there. And now Sasha, one of the most eloquent Zcash promoters or holders out there, publicly committed to writing the Zcash standard, the return of the Swiss vault for the internet age. And Sasha said that he is starting to write a book that will explain why Zcash matters to the world in a style similar to the Bitcoin standard, but better. And he will get single chapter drafts out progressively via blog posts, aiming for a monthly cadence starting from January. So in around a month, we should be able to read the first chapter of the Zcash standard. And yeah, he aims to finish the entire book by the end of year 2026. So if you haven't yet, please make sure to follow Sasha on X, especially if you're interested in privacy tech and Zcash. He always shares some very thought-provoking posts, and his long-form blog posts, write-ups are always worthwhile reading. Here we have 𝗪𝗏, who almost single-handedly dragged Zcash out of a 5-6 year long bear market with his shit posts and Zcash bull posts. And yeah, he just says there are a lot of things cooking in the Zcash ecosystem. First of all, the Zcash hackathon. There have been more than 200 entries ranging from multisigs to explorers to dexes. I'm really looking forward to privacy-preserving dexes probably built natively on Zcash. That would be super, super lit. Then he continues, Tachyon, the novel bleeding-edge scaling project with best-in-world talent, led by 𝗪𝗏, and Tachyon, the TLDR, they're trying to scale Zcash and private payments to Solana-grade levels, 10K TPS and beyond. Then we have miners being bought aggressively to compete on the hash rate. For those of you that don't know, Zcash is exactly the same way as Bitcoin, a proof of work chain, while other folks like Ethereum and all the other layer ones run on proof of stake. Zcash is still and will most likely always remain a proof of work blockchain. So Zcash, similar to Bitcoin, is backed by energy. Then there are others working on scaling the proof of work consensus mechanism. Similar to Bitcoin, the blocks are rather slow. I mean, Bitcoin has 10-minute block times and Zcash has much better 1-minute block times. But yeah, they're working on bringing those down into the seconds. And finally, we have the quantum resistance work. Zcash and Zcash developers have been among the first cryptographers that always thought about quantum resistancy, and they have been thinking and tinkering around to solve for a post-quantum world and make their chain quantum proof before anybody else even knew what quantum computers were. And they are so alert to this looming threat, unlike Bitcoin developers that are complacent and suffer from inertia and will most likely not being able to react to the quantum threat. Zcash is best prepared, probably best prepared of all crypto chains out there. And yeah, this just makes me highly confident in my Zcash holdings and lets me sleep well at night. So yeah, TLDR, ZEC is looking good here. Then another big announcement dropped over the past few weeks. Cypher landing is here. Templar, a lending protocol now integrated Zcash natively. No wrapping, no bridging, no trusted third parties. So you can now natively use your Zcash as collateral and borrow against it. And here is how it works. So yeah, just navigate to their website. I always recommend looking them up on X before so that you make sure to use the correct link and don't fall for any scammers. Then once you're on their website, you see this interface. First step, you connect your wallet. Then step number 2, you choose how much Zcash you want to deposit and how much USDC you want to borrow against. So here you see you can type in how much Zcash you want to put in as collateral and then how much USDC you want to borrow against it. Then here you have the collateral ratio. And yeah, once you selected your in and output amounts, you can send your Zcash to this collateral address that is displayed over here. It's a transparent address, so you can only use that on the transparent side of the Zcash blockchain, not on the private side as of now. And yeah, once you have sent your Zcash to this address, you can withdraw the USDC on the Solana blockchain and yeah, use it in DeFi or wherever. And then Templar shared a sneak peek into their roadmap, and they said that they are exploring shielded borrowing support. So in the future, you should be able to directly borrow against your shielded Zcash, which is pretty handy. And to make this possible, they are exploring a partnership with 𝗬𝗎ci, Electric Coin Capitals, the guys that are working on the Zashi wallet, and also enable a integration with Zashi that directly from your app, from your phone app, you can borrow against your Zcash. Very much looking forward for this feature to go live. This is a infographic that I derived from one of Sasha's posts that I really wanted to share with you guys. And this graphic outlines 4 key features that are working in favor of Zcash and aren't going away anytime soon. Number 1, central banks are looking for a digital store of value. As we all know, over centuries, central banks have been hoarding and accumulating gold as a store of value, and many of them are looking for a digital representation of physical gold, and many people out there claim Bitcoin to be that solution. But as of now, we haven't really seen the adoption of Bitcoin in central banks. And as 𝗪𝗪 always says, the likelihood of Bitcoin becoming a digital store of value used by central banks is very, very thin, or very, very small, since Bitcoin is fully traceable. And I mean, it exposes banks to major threats if everybody around the world knows how much Bitcoin they are holding. And that's a very, very legit and solid argument. And that's exactly where Zcash comes in, because Zcash flows cannot be tracked. And this gives central banks a massive edge, because they can silently accumulate Zcash just the way that they can accumulate gold, and nobody out there knows how much they are holding of it. Number 2, activists and donors, they wanna preserve their anonymity, and therefore they need a digital payment method that allows them to do so. And this private medium of exchange is Zcash, because we have all seen what happened to the truckers during COVID that blocked, I guess, the bridge between the US and Canada. And people wanted to donate to these truckers because they were, I don't know, running out of money, whatever. And then what happened? The government came in, and everybody that sent money to these truckers, they lost access to their bank accounts. And then some crypto natives said, okay, fuck you, government, I will send them some Bitcoin. But they didn't think about that, everybody out there can see and track their Bitcoin transactions. So they were somewhat punished because their transaction flow was tracked back. And in the end, the government found out who sent money to these truckers. So activists and secret donors will always exist, and Zcash will most likely be the means which they use to interact and transact with each other. But not only activists and donors need privacy, but also politicians need an asset that cannot be seized or frozen by their political counterparties. Let's imagine in the next election campaign, Trump faces whatever other Democrat, and suddenly Trump could froze all the assets of the Democrats or the other way around. I mean, that would be such a twist of events, and whatever party is in charge could totally knock out the opposite, and this would eventually lead to dictatorship, and we will live in corrupt states like South Korea. Hence, also politicians need seizure-proof assets. And I mean, if you really think about it, there is such a bifurcation, and like the left hates the right, especially in the US. So it's not far-fetched that sooner or later one political side, whoever is in control or in charge, might freeze and seize the assets of the other political party to knock them out forever. And that's a massive threat for democracy. And finally, number 4, there is this inherent tension between the proliferation of stablecoins and the total surveillance and control over financial flows. So yeah, let me explain. The US needs a marginal buyer of their debt, hence that's why they are now embracing stablecoins, because they can sell their US dollars to everyone around the world by distributing and making dollar-backed stablecoins accessible to everyone around the globe. The US can finance their massive debt burden, but more importantly, keep the dollar as the reserve currency of the world. So this is clearly one objective of the US, but then there is this inherent tension between the surveillance and the control of monetary flows, which the US, of course, also wants to hold, but they need to make stablecoins private for everyone out there to use them. Because if stablecoins are not private, then folks in China, folks in Europe, they are revealing their financial transactions, and hence they can be persecuted by their own governments and shut up from the stablecoin flow. Hence, the US is financially incentivized, as weird as it sounds, to make stablecoins private, because only then people from all over the world can use them without their local governments punishing them. I never thought about this inherent tension, but again, a big shout out to Sasha for exposing or for sharing this idea, and I pondered over it for hours. And it's such an interesting idea, and just another reason why Zcash and privacy will thrive in the future, and of course another reason to follow Sasha. Sweet. Now we are closing the loops. Cypherpunks are back. As Tom Howard posted, for the first time in many years, I'm seeing extremely intelligent engineers getting excited about crypto again. Zcash attracts the right builders and inspires them. Do you want to be rich or do you want to be free? But why not both? Arguably, Zcash enables both financial gains and full freedom and privacy over your finances. And here we have Dan, which I think speaks or mirrors the sentiment of lots of OG crypto guys that came in before 2016, 2015 and have been around in the industry for years, but have been disillusioned of what crypto has become as of lately. And he says that he is joining Electric Coin Company to lead business development. He didn't have any expectations of jumping back into the workforce. He was burnt out, frustrated by the state of the industry, and interested in exploring a life outside of crypto. And then this revealing moment happened. He downloaded Zashi, a mobile application built by 𝗬𝗎. He said when he first shielded Bitcoin on Zcash, the sense of agency it gave him was like discovering crypto for the very first time. It brought back hope for the technology, a feeling that he has long forgotten after the casino-like dopamine-included hangover that he had experienced at work and in the trenches. And I think this very post speaks to so many guys out there, including myself, that have grown disappointed with the industry and now pick up new hope because of the rebirth of the cypherpunks. And this very post, in my opinion, beautifully captures the current zeitgeist of people being disillusioned, disappointed by the overall trends of the crypto industry, the institutionalization of crypto, the memification, and just not really coming up with proper use cases, but but now with the return of the cypherpunks and this renewed interest in privacy tech, it sparked that excitement in the OGs to come back and contribute to something meaningful that could change the world for better. And if you want to feel that excitement and that magic of private internet money as well, I will assign a small homework for you over the holidays. Please make sure to download the Zashi wallet. And if you struggle with onboarding, just drop your private address in the comments below and I will send you a small Christmas gift and make you experience firsthand the magic of private money, but also private messages. You will see soon how this works. Hodl and chill. If you are privacy built and have a long-term conviction in Zcash, please make sure to not overtrade. Because as Sasha said, you will almost certainly outperform by just hodling and not trading. Given everything that happened over the past 2 or 3 months in the Zcash ecosystem, his base case is that Zcash will go to 5k at some point over the next few years. So that's more than a 10x upside from current prices. He thinks that the demand for a private store of value is pretty much up only over the next decades. And right now, as we've seen with the hackathons and all the different teams working on the Zcash protocol, there is too much talent, capital, and momentum within the Zcash ecosystem to stop this next leg up. It's only a matter of time. But guys, please mentally prepare yourself for 50+% corrections, because this will be a bumpy and super volatile ride. So if you want to make a 10x, please be mentally prepared to suffer through 50+% corrections, which can be painful, but if you mentally prepare yourself for these situations, it will be easier for you to hodl through. And of course, there are always knowable and unknowable tail risks, hence don't put in more than you can afford to lose and never get kicked out of the game. And always keep a meaningful amount of cash on your side to cover your daily expenses and in the case of a big correction to be able to buy in at lower prices. All right, that's it for today. Thanks guys for watching. Once again, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to all of you. I hope, as always, that you found some value in watching this video. And one final ask from my side to support myself and this channel, please hit the like buttons and smash that subscribe button below this video. All right, that's it for today. 𝗪𝗵𝘁 out and see you in the trenches.